Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. I did it wrong again.
Hey, it's me, Todd Novak.
I've been talking all this. Hey, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. That's how we do it on the dang old show.
Ding dong.
We're thrilled to death that you're listening to our show tonight.
Woohoo!
Or
yes.
Today, or whatever
day it is.
To it. Yes. It's just me and Tony. Rob, again, is, under a pile of amps. And Jared is making humbuckers and all kinds of...
And hanging TVs.
And hanging TVs, yeah. So that's what he's doing.
Yes.
Anyways, but more importantly, we do have on the show a certain person. Who are you?
Oh, me?
Yes, you.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Hey, I'm Brian from Spruce Effects. That's me.
All right. Brian from Spruce Effects is on our show. We're having him back. We had him. Tony's going to find out exactly what episode that was.
I forgot to do that earlier. I'm sorry. I'm doing it right now.
It was kind of early, wasn't it?
It was in the high 100s. I actually looked it up this weekend with my family in the car.
Oh, wow.
And I immediately got out of the car as soon as I heard my voice.
Why?
So
was it moving?
I don't know. It was one of those things. Oh yeah, it was just I had to take a seat on the curb and just cry a little bit. No, I just some people don't like to hear their own voice.
No, I understand that.
So according to our librarian, I like that.
You like that?
What was that?
That's the old analog computer.
That was very
sound.
accurate.
Yeah. What was that? What game show was that?
Oh.
Plinko?
No, it was No Whammies. Was it the No Whammy one? No whammies, no whammies, no whammies. Anyways, keep going. Talk, Tony.
Anyhow.
It's the one time I'll ever say that.
Spruce Effects appeared in episode 192.
Wow, good guess,
So, Brian,
man.
yes, you were correct in the upper 100s. Damn near 200.
Yeah.
That was back in...
Ba-da-ba. Ba-da-ba.
Yes. Tell him what he's won, Johnny.
Anyways,
this is called filler.
This is going to be episode 387.
387.
Wow. So
wow.
Yeah.
Kind of double, almost exactly.
Almost exactly. Pretty good.
Wow.
Pretty good. Yes.
I like it.
Should have been 3 episodes ago.
Yes. So, anyway, we're going to talk to Brian here from Spruce Effects about a new line that they have just developed. And by the way, where can people go see the things that you're doing, Brian?
Yeah, so primarily 2 ways. Our Instagram is the most active. I tried the Threads thing, and I haven't dialed it in. I told you guys earlier I turned 40 this year, so I'm really having a hard time with, the darn internet these days.
So you got a pair of glasses is what you're saying.
Ah, yes. Get those readers out.
I can, and I don't know how these algorithms work. I don't know any of that stuff. So I try to stay off the Threads. Otherwise, I just get angry.
Threads is dumb.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, Instagram is probably the most in touch way of interacting with us. And then we have a website, obviously, and we have a newsletter, which is pretty popular. We're pretty happy with our subscription. And we don't send a ton of stuff out on the newsletter. So if you get something on the newsletter, it's probably important, at least if you care about what we're doing. So if you're interested in finding out the finer details of what's happening over here, the newsletter is probably the best place, and casually browsing Instagram is the next.
Yes. Yeah. Don't overdo it, people, unless you're looking at either Spruce Effects or Guitar Knobs. All right. Well, what?
That's funny.
Oh, all right.
That's funny. It was a delayed reaction. Sorry.
Yeah. Those are the best. All right. Well, we have a lot to talk about, and we're going to get on with it.
Do we have any announcements?
The announcements are we are gearing our giveaways back up, so I've got some things organized.
I love it.
So we'll start that again next week. We've got a handful of things.
Mm-hmm.
And as we get things, we shall move them forward. There's also something else that we're cooking up. We got a lot of great feedback on the Sketchy Sounds Guitar Knobs boost.
That kind of feedback?
No. If you were listening, you would understand what I'm talking about now, Tony.
I'm listening to you.
You have Sketchy Sounds.
You have my complete, undivided attention.
The Sketchy Sounds Guitar Knobs boost.
Guitar Knobs boost.
We're going to do another run of those. Okay, that's enough. And then, but that's going to be a pre-order. A little bit more. So think about that. We're working out how we're going to sort this, how we're going to do it.
Okay.
But that's going to be a pre-order. And yeah.
Can I just pick?
Pick what?
Names.
No, they're going to pre-order them.
Oh.
So we're not giving those ones away. We already gave several of those away.
I know that.
And
I thought we were giving more away.
No, see, you were talking. That's the problem.
Why do you hurt my feelings?
Anyways, everybody else, you know what? I don't need to explain this again to you because you were actually listening. So if you're interested,
yes,
in those pedals that we gave away, and you're like, hey, I'd actually really like one. We are not going to give any more of those away at this moment, but we are going to do a run,
a limited run. I like that idea.
Yeah, so more to come on that.
You'll give the details at the appropriate time?
I will give the details at the appropriate time, but I just wanted to plant the seed.
I see.
And that's it. That's what I got for right now. So we're going to find out what's going on in our music worlds this week, starting off with Tony Baloney, and then we're going to check in with Brian.
Okay, that was a rather
Awesome.
rather limited introduction. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I mean, you must be just really worn out from that Hive show
Tony,
you went to.
You've been a lot already. Go ahead.
Some say more than a handful.
Yes.
So this week, I'm really looking forward to a show which happens next week. I'll give you a report next week.
Okay.
But, one of my favorite performers is playing here at Natalie's. It's a little club in Grandview, which is part of Columbus, actually, for those who don't know. But Jonathan Richman. Do you know who Jonathan Richman is?
That sounds really familiar.
No clue.
No clue. Well, Jonathan Richman was, back in the late 70s into the 80s, he was in a band called the Modern Lovers.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And the big hit was Roadrunner.
Yep. Roadrunner.
That's the one.
Go 90 miles an hour.
50 miles an hour now.
50 miles an hour.
Maybe you go 90.
100 miles an hour.
But I've seen him a number of times. I haven't seen Jonathan in a number of years. Oh, the other thing you might recognize him from is he is the troubadour in the movie There's Something About Mary. Do you know that movie?
Yeah, I remember that one.
And then then between the scenes, there's a guy playing a Rickenbacker.
Oh, I don't recall
and
that
a drummer.
part.
Yeah, you don't recall that part.
It's been a minute since I've seen that movie.
Oh, well, that's the guy there. Yeah, that's what he looks like.
Yeah.
Anyhow, you were talking earlier about having control of the audience. And every time that I've seen him, he usually just comes out. Sometimes he has his drummer friend with him. I've seen him a number of times with him and just like a Gibson ES 375, some big box, jazz box. And he has had such control over the audience. I mean, and he plays purposefully low volume. And you could hear a pin drop.
Yeah, he's kind of like one of those. He's almost like that modern era of like beat poet kind of like musician.
Yeah, you could say
like,
that.
His friends these are friends that died.
Oh, Jim Carroll.
Yeah, Jim Carroll was.
Yeah.
He did a whole bunch of that stuff.
Yeah. So
Patti Smith, like.
Yeah, I guess if you had to categorize him, I guess he could fall into that area.
Yeah.
But anyhow,
even like the band Television. I mean, they.
Well, I wouldn't quite put them in that same category.
Well, they all lived in the same place.
Well, they were from New York, yes.
I don't
Jonathan
mean
Rich-
the same house.
they all lived in the same house.
Yeah. Anyway,
But he's Jonathan's from Boston area.
That's near New York.
It's not really near New York.
Okay.
But
It's the same city.
the good news is your Fisher Price wooden USA map puzzle is on its way. This will help immensely with
Yes.
your geographic limitations.
Yes.
Anyhow, I'm just looking forward to that. It's an anniversary present to my wife.
That's cool.
It's the day after our anniversary, but we were just looking for something to do.
Happy anniversary, Tony.
Well, thank you. I wasn't trying to get a
Sure.
obligatory reaction from you, but yeah,
How many years is it?
it will be 26 glorious years. 26 of them.
26.
Wow, impressive.
Yeah. Well, this is my second lap, so I keep telling her she has seniority finally,
Nice.
and yeah, that's about the same reaction I
Yeah.
get from her.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Thanks.
But yeah, so that's that's my week, and I will have a report for you next week.
Excellent. I appreciate that. Let's see, Brian, what's going on in your music world this week?
Well, first I have to comment on Jonathan Richmond. He has a great video with Andrew Bird. Do you know Andrew Bird?
That sounds familiar. Andrew Bird.
I'm not sure.
Enlighten us, my friend.
Andrew Bird is a pretty popular indie musician. He plays violin and whistles a lot,
Oh,
which sounds kind of dumb. You're like, oh yeah, he just like whistles and plays violin, but actually he's a very talented guy, and he has like an hour long. Yeah, check it out on YouTube. It's pretty
cool.
cool.
He's got an NPR Tiny Desk concert. I love those concerts.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that one's good too. I've seen Andrew Bird live also, and it's pretty good.
And he's from
If you
New
don't
York,
like it,
too.
it's kind of boring. Yeah, there you go.
Ah, cool.
Yeah.
Anyways,
by way of
yeah,
Illinois.
yeah.
So
what am I supposed to say? Like music for me?
Yeah,
right
what's
now?
happening?
Whatever,
You
man.
know, did you buy a guitar? Did you have a great meal somewhere?
Did you do a show? Did you get some vinyl? What's going on? Yeah, music in the broadest form.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see here. I have been trying to go to. You guys were talking about going to see shows, so I'm going to talk about that. I've been trying to go see more live music. Do you guys have kids?
3.
I have. Mine is 32. So no.
Yeah, I've got 3
I,
years.
I have one, but not in my house.
Yes.
But you know what it was like. Like I have young kids, so
Oh,
they're
yeah.
7 and 3, and so like there's this. It seems to be, and correct me if I'm wrong. There's this impending sort of like 15, 20-year blackout period where life is just, the vortex of the children, and we're kind of deep in that.
Yeah.
And so, but we started, my wife and I, Katie, we've been trying to prioritize, like, we live so close to San Francisco that like, there's so much great music. We're trying to prioritize like going to see more music, even if it's inconvenient, getting the babysitter or doing overnight.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to do that. And I think it's probably mostly selfish on both of our sides. Like we do enjoy it together, but I think we enjoy it individually for other reasons.
Sure.
And so, yeah, we've been going to see more shows. One of my favorite artists right now, who we saw a couple months ago, is a German guy named Roosevelt. I post about him on Instagram sometimes. And he's kind of like, it's pretty popular. This genre is, I think, pretty popular, especially with like the Spotify generation of, algorithms picking new music for you. But it's like, it's funky, electronic, He was, a bedroom artist, but is super talented. He does everything: sings, guitar, bass, synthesizer, drums, everything. And we went to see him recently in the city, and it was amazing. And it was just a great reminder of how, fun it can be just to go to a show.
Absolutely.
And not have to worry about anything,
Yeah.
So that's kind of where my music head is at these days. Is just trying to like go see more concerts. I'm always trying to buy new guitars and amps. I could talk about that for 4 or 5 hours if you want. But
well, we'll talk about that.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
You mentioned that
that's,
Vortex. It isn't as bad as you think. My girls are my youngest one is a sophomore in high school now, and my other one just started college, and the one's in her second year of college, I think. And there was a time, where it was just like, nope, we can't do anything, we can't go anywhere. I couldn't even play music because it just didn't have time. But it didn't last as long as I thought it would. And maybe that's because I was like, no, music is really important to me and to my mental health and to my happiness. So I had to make some adjustments there. But the cool thing is, even if you can't do that, this is for all the newish dads out there, expose the kids to the music you like early on.
I think that's good advice.
It's because
yeah,
my girls are so much more informed on music compared to their counterparts, and they'll talk about in class and like, oh, does anybody know who blah blah blah, and like my daughter raised her hand, they're like, really, you know who that is? Or they come in with band shirts, like my old band shirts, and they're so like like X, Joan Jett, like, or the Cult, or Psychedelic Furs, or whatever it is, Iron Maiden, and all this stuff, and they're like, you know what that is? And, yeah, we listen to it. And the byproduct of that is that when they do get older and they appreciate it, then you can call up and you can say, hey, do you want to go see Psychedelic Furs with me tomorrow night in Cincinnati? That's happening on this Friday. Friday.
Nice.
Friday. And they're like, oh yeah, that'd be fantastic. They're not like, oh, it's your music, I don't like it. They're so much more open. And it doesn't mean they only like my kind of music. They're just more open and more informed, which is something that we've talked about kind of a bit on the show in the past. And, I think maybe just touching on this again is worth it, because we as adults were exposed to a lot more things and at our age than the kids are now, because of that, like the algorithm society. When you listen
That's
to
my favorite band.
Cool
The Algorithm Society.
Yeah, that is a great band. That's a great record name too. I may have to borrow that. But you listen to the radio when I think for a majority of people listening right now, when we did used to listen to the radio, it's like you listened to what was on the radio. You didn't get to pick, well, I only want to hear this exact kind of thing. And things like that, where streams of things that used to be ambient are not so ambient anymore. They're programmed.
Yeah.
And it's really a real bummer. I mean, that goes for movies. That goes for all kinds of other things that I can't remember off the top of my head right now. But anyways, you get the point. So that's a weird common topic that I discuss with a lot of other adults around my age. So anyways, blurp, there you go. Guitars.
Yeah. That actually made me think of something interesting. I and this is like maybe a cross section or counterpoint even. Like I drive with my older girl, Owen. She's gonna be 8, and we listen to a lot of music together. Everything you said about that resonates, and I fully encourage anyone who's listening. If you like music, you need to listen to it with your kids and play it with your kids.
Yeah, for sure.
And we do this dance of, it's not the radio, like you said, but it's a form of the radio. So, our cars are like kind of linked. So like if mom is driving our other daughter to daycare and she's listening to Spotify, I can't listen to it because we don't have the like
the shared plan,
the family thing. So I have to listen to Slacker Radio, which is like, it's another streaming platform, and I don't pay for it. And so we'll get like a station will be, and use the word programmed. I think radio has been programmed for a long time, just different forms of it.
Yes.
And this programming is sort of like genre or vibe based, I guess.
Yeah.
And she'll be like, hey, skip until like one comes on that she likes. And I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Like, what if that was a great song and you just didn't know it until like a minute in?
Yeah.
And she, of course, she's like 7 going on 8. She's like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, that's stupid. And, and I'm like, no, like, let's give it a chance. And it's a really interesting kind of.
That right there is a huge lesson. Kudos to you, man.
Yeah.
Like, give it a chance. Honestly, that is a huge thing, because as adults, sometimes we don't even do that because we're like, no, we already know.
Right. No, I know the one song I want. Just skip to it, please.
Yeah. That's cool. Do that with your peoples, everybody.
As for me,
yeah. What?
Then did we do?
Yeah. So, sorry.
What about you, Todd?
Yeah. Well, for me, yes. I actually, on that same note, I hit up our mutual friend and supporter of the show, poet extraordinaire and musician extraordinaire.
Poet emeritus.
Poet emeritus, yes. Matt Hart, multi-talented gentleman. And I said, Matt, I'm coming down. I'm going to hang out with my daughter because I went to go see Alan Johannes.
Oh, another
play
previous
at this
guest.
Tiny little brewery.
Huh.
And it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was just fantastic. And so I went down there. He was going to go with me, but his daughter came into town. So he was like, bro, I can't go. I'm like, I get it, man. And it was this totally intimate setting. It was like he was on a chair, and there must have, maybe 50 people in the room, 50, 60 people in the room. It was amazing. Yeah. It was when you sit in front of somebody and you're like, wow, this is a really, really talented person. Mm-hmm. They don't have to be doing their utmost, show of talent. You can tell when somebody is like, man, you were born to do nothing except this.
Oh, thanks,
because
Todd.
you're doing it really well. Not you, Tony. But since I had a little bit of time to kill, I said, hey, Matt, where's a good record store? I know he used to work down there at the record store. And he gave me the tip to hit Shake It Records. And it was a huge place, and it was like all the jazz was downstairs and all the rock was upstairs. And I was like, this is great.
Nice.
So nabbed a couple.
Did they have country and western?
They do.
All righty. They got them all.
They got it all.
They got both kinds of music.
They got both kinds of music, yeah, country and western. So it was a great time in Cincy, and
Nice.
Alan was very just friendly, and got a chance to talk with him, and I told him that, hey, I need to get a little quick picture with you, or else David Kaminga is gonna yell at me for like not doing that or not believing that I actually went. So I went, David, just so you know. David Kaminga, also a great friend of the show and a great supporter and a huge fan of Alan and all of the Alan stuff. So
nice.
Yeah, there we go.
Wow.
Woo, doggies.
Cool.
Action packed.
We got lots of stuff to talk about.
That's it for the show.
That's it.
Yeah.
That being said, what we're about to do
What?
We're gonna get to the 4 on the floor, but I just want to remind everybody: if you got your own 4 on the floor, the best way to connect those is through Tour Gear Design's patch cables.
What if you have 8 on the floor?
You can do that. You can have 72 on the floor, and they're gonna help you out.
How?
Well, they make the most affordable, best, durable, easily connectable patch cables that we've found, that we've come across. And that's why we talk about
they're
it.
space savers, too.
They are absolute space savers. You're going to be able to fit at least another pedal on your board, I would say.
So what are you going to do?
You're going to go to tourgeardesigns.com. You're going to fill up your cart, and then you're going to go to the checkout, and then you're going to, in the coupon area, put the guitar knobs. It's going to save you 15% off your order.
What?
15%. That's a big percentage. That's a big percentage.
That's a good deal. And these are already reasonably priced and, dare I say, relatively indestructible.
Yes.
I have tried to destroy them.
Yeah.
And I have not been successful.
And he failed. So, thank you to Tour Gear for sponsoring our 4 on the floor. Tony?
Let me get a little bit of this.
Wow. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
4 on the floor.
Okay, Brian from Spruce Effects. What is your 4 on the floor V2?
Here we go. So I'm going to probably disappoint many people because a lot of my stuff, or not a lot, but a couple of my things are vintage. So I have been really kind of thinking about envelope filters a bit. So I had this old Mutron 3 and it was broken for a long time. And I fixed it. And so I've been kind of playing with it a fair amount and learning about it. And I'll give a shout out to my brother, who's a deadhead. He's a wharf rat, as they say. And I never really experienced the Grateful Dead until I hung out with my brother as an adult. And so I can't say that I'm a huge Grateful Dead fan, but I love reading about and analyzing, guitar players' effects usage and whatnot. And Jerry is a cool study in that. And so this pedal in particular, I think it is extra special. And I never really saw myself as anyone but like a fuzz kind of guy. And so it was a cool, it felt inspirational. Let's just say that, to dig a little bit into the circuit to get this thing working again. And when I played it, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. This is a special thing that sounds a very special way. Mm-hmm. So that's one. Is that good?
That's good. But how complicated is the circuitry on one of those?
It's very, it's you can replicate it, digitally. I don't know too much about the newer stuff that they're putting out, but it's pretty complicated as far as, analog circuits go, but the actual sort of, complex part is quite simple in its design. Mm-hmm. So it's not like 15 stages of, modulation or whatever. It's pretty simple, but it's a really cool idea that got implemented really well, which I think a lot of people or companies in the 70s got right.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was always curious. Our buddy Jared is a big Mutron fan. And, I have one of those.
I got one of those. I got a whole bunch of those.
And when they work, they're great. When they don't work, I was just always curious what it takes to fix them up. But it sounds like you were able to do the job.
About $150.
Yeah, well, it's it's kind of like old amps. They're just easier to work on. There's no surface mount parts.
Right.
Even if the thing that you need to replace is rare, it's physically accessible I mean, these things are freaking huge, right? Like,
Yep.
like how big is the pedal I'm talking about? It's like a foot long, basically.
Yeah, it's
And right, like and everyone's like, no, I want like a micro pedal. I want like a 1990s flip phone sized thing that does everything. And it's like, oh, cool, you want a computer? And but these pedals are pretty easy to work on, and they like make a lot of sense. Like as design wise, they follow logic as far as like the things that they are doing. So that's my first one.
okay. Cool. What's number 2?
Number 2, let's see here. Can I call out the exact brand?
Sure.
If it's a boutique builder, is that allowed? All right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
It's your 4 on the floor.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So I put out. You guys are you familiar with the Elka Dizzy Tone fuzz from the '60s? It's a buzz around type tone bender.
Okay. I mean, I know the sound that you're talking about, but I'm not familiar.
Yeah. So like it's a tone bender-esque derivative, which is one of my favorite bass lines for fuzz. And
I can never hear the word derivative ever again because of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Derivative.
Yeah.
That's so great. Sorry.
Just interrupt people by saying derivative. Yeah. And anyways, I started, I released a version of it. And I like it a lot because I'll tell you the company that I am shouting out here in a second. But I like this fuzz because it did in the 60s what, or maybe not in the 60s, in the vintage era, it did what a lot of fuzz builders who don't do the full mojo thing want to do, which is it used kind of what are now not objectively scarce transistors. They are kind of, but you hear about NKT 275 fuzz face, right? Like the Hendrix fuzz face, or like the OC 44 Rangemaster, and then people on the internet tell you, well, that's the only one that you should play because it's the best.
Yeah, or the
308
Rat.
Yeah, exactly. And like a lot of people who have even a basic understanding of the stuff is like, well, no, there are lots of things that sound similar or just as good. And actually the ones that you're talking about were pretty inconsistent or not that great. And there's this myth that is created, but the Dizzy Tone use these kind of relatively generic Bulgarian transistors. And they're not that hard to get. Like you can still get them. Whereas like the NKT 275, if anyone has one of those and they find it, they're going to try and sell it for $200 for the one piece.
Which one is that? That's the MK275. Gonna go dig in for that.
Yeah, that's the yeah.
No, I just threw a bunch of those away.
And so,
I was using them as a door stopper.
If you have an old radio, maybe you did. I don't know.
It's possible.
But yeah, this circuit, a lot of people really respect, and it uses kind of stuff that a lot of people haven't heard of outside of the world. But I borrowed an ear effects, EAR effects, Dizzy Tone from a friend to kind of learn more about the circuit, because the vintage ones are $1,000 and there's a 87% chance that it sounds like crap. And so I got this pedal and I just fell in love with it, and I voiced mine, I guess, off of that one rather than a vintage one, which is what's more common when people are cloning vintage circuits. They try and voice it,
right,
and make it sound just like the one unit that they were able to hunt down and find.
what was the name of the unit that you tried to model this after one more time? Who makes it?
It's ear effects. Ear like your
got
ear.
it. Yeah.
Ear effects in the pedal is the dizzy tone. So I got to play one of those for a few weeks and poke around, and they did a nice job seemingly recreating this thing. So I use that as kind of the baseline. And yeah, so that's my second one. The third one, and this is going to be a letdown.
Why?
I love big muffs. And then the follow-up question is like, well, which one? And I'm going to say it. They all sound the same.
Oh,
all big muffs sound the same.
I love big muffs, and I cannot lie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Creating distance from the caller. Creating distance from the caller.
Yeah. I don't actually think they all sound the same, but I've played enough actual big muffs and big muffs from other builders that I think if you have like the big muff sound in your head, and this is where I'll kind of qualify it. Say you're 16 years old and you hear a big muff sound on a record, and you're like just learning to play guitar, like you can get the $100 big muff and get mostly there to where you get like stoked and excited about that thing, because I think the big muff sound is so cool and unique and important to a lot of rock and roll music, spanning huge, time spans, the 1970s through now. Even like there are very huge critical rock bands that use big muff as their central sound. And I think if you're like 16 and you're picking up guitar and you listen to Dinosaur Jr. or Smashing Pumpkins or, even, earlier stuff, if you just get the $100 big muff, like you're going to get almost there to where you're like, hell yeah, this is like the sound that I heard and the sound in my head. And like, this is like playing, it feels really good.
Right.
So I'm not going to call out a specific big muff. I just wanted to like put that out there. I'm always going to have a good sounding big muff.
Can you at least narrow it down to
on your board?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Okay, what color was it?
Silver. I don't know. I like the triangle big muff. So if I were to pick like a builder, I mean, Electro Harmonix makes one. I haven't played the newish one.
I like how you just said, I mean, Electro Harmonix makes one.
No, they make like that reissue, like little box triangle muff.
Yeah.
They don't make, yes, of course they make big muffs, but they make this like triangle version.
Yeah.
And I haven't played it, so I don't know. I don't know if it's cool or not. Yeah, I don't know. Anything but the op amp muff, I guess.
Oh, okay. So that's
okay.
All right.
Even though I like that one too, that's not my.
It's not your jam. How about number 3?
All right, number 3. No, that was number 3.
That was number 3.
By number 3, I mean number 4. If 3 was 4.
Yeah. All right, I'll go modern now. And this is maybe like a funny juxtaposition where like I'm all over the place on these first 3, but the last one is like, it's not even out yet. But I got the chance to play it because I know the guy who made it. It's the Silktone Fuzz Plus. So if you're familiar with Silktone amps,
they've been on the show a couple times.
So Charles is putting out the Fuzz Plus soon, and I got to play it, and it's really great. It's like I don't know how to describe it other than like, if you really like fuzz faces and you also hate them, you probably want to get this one.
Okay.
Because like I feel like because it's not like just a fuzz face. It's got he's this really interesting intersection of like brilliant and kind of quirky. And so like he's doing stuff with his circuitry that is very unique, but also makes a lot of sense once you're like, oh wow, like why didn't I think of that? Or like, you know, that's a really cool implementation of that thing. And so, and he's got like an incredible ear. So like I trust anything that he does, and I play his amp. So, but yeah, the Fuzz Plus
that's a really nice
probably,
amp.
Yeah, it's really good. I use that alongside with a vintage deluxe reverb as like the baseline for testing all my stuff. Cause I just know it's going to sound at the baseline exactly good. And I don't have to really do a whole lot. And so when I'm running my effects through it, I know that I'll be able to hear what I'm trying to hear, rather than trying to like filter out like what I'm supposed to hear. But yeah, that's the fourth one. So that one is my fourth on the floor, as you all say.
There you have it.
All right. Good stuff.
Very fuzzy.
Very fuzzy.
So you mentioned that, I mean, are you going to be, well, hang on. Let's transition now to all about Spruce Effects.
Sure.
What?
That was a nice transition.
You like that?
Yes. Segue.
Hard left, Clyde. So why don't we start that off with what you were just talking about, which is, so are you working on a Dizzy Tone yourself, or are we
I made
allowed
one.
to say that?
Yeah, so I made a Dizzy Tone. Do you guys remember? I actually don't remember when I put them out, but the like big wedge shape enclosures.
Sure.
They're obscene. They are literally a foot long.
Yeah.
I put them out in like a bunch of like, one of you said Fisher Price something or other earlier, but they're literally, I copied the Fisher Price xylophone Roy B. Jib color scheme.
Okay.
And so they're like these really do you know these xylophones I'm talking about?
Yes,
Oh,
I
yeah.
do.
Like from the 60s?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
they
so
had wheels on them, didn't they?
Yeah, you
And
could
a little yellow plastic mallet.
yes.
Yeah, exactly. So I copied those colors because I thought they're so, I guess cute is the wrong word, but maybe the right word too.
I'm remembering what you did. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I did a custom shop run, and Dizzy Tone was one of the options. So I did do that.
Right.
And I still have, I can make more. I'm just not really advertising it too much.
Well, you just did. So
Get ready to start building.
Yes, buy them. They're so fun.
Rumble. Yeah, you also
Yeah.
did the fuzz face in Fisher Price form too.
Yeah, Fuzz Face, Dizzy Tone, Tone Bender Mark III. It's like kind of like this series is like, I excuse myself from any cloning controversy and just do it because I just really like making those circuits.
Yeah,
so
that's cool.
It's, no bones about it. Classic circuits, and they're really fun to make, and they sound good, and I use cool parts and all that stuff.
Nice. It's nice. Well, when we had you on the show before, you sent us a box of really good stuff. We believe we had the Gale was a favorite of ours. And I believe we had the Arborist as well.
The first one.
Yeah, the first Arborist. And then I think there was one other. I'm trying to remember which one it was. But regardless of which one it was, if there was a witch if the witch was, woof, I just broke myself. They were great.
Awesome. Yeah.
So we were, immediately, the minute I saw you made I can't remember if this was, it was just a few days ago, but I can't remember if it was a post or in the newsletter that you mentioned. I saw something very special. It's probably the newsletter, right?
Probably. I posted one or two things about
Okay.
it. I'm bad at Instagram, but
I'm pretty sure it was a newsletter because I was going through email and then I was, and I was, yeah.
Were you doing that at work?
No. No.
I was distracted.
No,
by
Tony.
humans.
And I was really struck by this because visually, I think it's absolutely stunning.
Yes.
You are
Cool.
working on what's called, what the kids on the street are calling, Junior Ranger series. And if the rest are anything indicative of this, I mean, really outstanding work. I mean, outside and in.
Yeah, thanks.
So we need to find out more about this. What is the genesis of the Junior Ranger series, and tell us all about it.
Well, before we do that,
Can
we talk about this beautiful wooden badge that comes as part of the gift package?
It's amazing.
I can't wait to
gosh.
put that on a jacket.
Yeah, you should wear it.
I love it.
Yeah, I'll cover that in the genesis, the origin story.
Excellent.
So we put out the Americana series, which is like, I don't know. I've tried to figure out like what the real ad copy should say, and I don't really know. But basically, I describe it differently every time. It's this. I had this idea where like I really like national parks, and I really like the national park system. And I think the United States does a lot of things really interestingly. And one of the things I think we got like very right,
Yes.
outside of a few things that we don't have to talk about, but the national park system at its core is like this idea of preserving natural beauty. And I really kind of resonated with that as a younger person. And so I was like, you know what, I want to put national parks on guitar pedals, but like in a interesting twist, and not like, oh, just like it is the national park. It's more like an interpretation of the national park. So like for example, the naming convention doesn't necessarily follow the name of the national park.
Sure.
Like volcanoes, for example, is actually Volcano National Park, but we call it volcanoes. So it's not like a one-to-one interpretation of the park or how people who don't play guitar experience it.
Mm-hmm.
But we really wanted to make a line that was, you could say homage or respect to these cool places. And I also got kind of obsessed early on with in this idea of the posters and the lithographs that came out.
They're just
in
amazing.
The 1930s.
Yeah, the 30s to the
It's so good.
to like
And
the late 50s travel posters are just incredible.
Yeah. And it was from the WPA and this Art Deco vibe, and like I think if like I were to ever get rich, I would probably like the only art that I would spend a lot of money on was like original prints of these things.
That's cool.
I wouldn't buy like Andy Warhol's or anything. I would just buy these like old posters. But like yeah, and so it felt so good. And the artist I worked with was Jordan at Pinebox Customs
He's
Effects.
great.
Yep.
He's amazing. And it just like everything came together perfectly. There were two downsides though, or drawbacks, I guess, not downsides. The first one being they are very time consuming to make. Like I design these circuits with, the phrase like no expense spared.
Right.
Like I wasn't trying to be efficient, because this wasn't like an exercise in efficiency. It was me trying to accomplish this like vision of this kind of dumb thing that I had in my head.
That's when the best stuff happens, man.
Yeah, and it was great, and I loved, you know, how everything turned out, and so yeah, it wasn't efficient to make. So that the two things are really just cost and availability.
Well, I'm going to draw a parallel
kind of manifest.
Really quick.
Sure.
You just said that it wasn't efficient to do, and it's like, you know what else wasn't efficient to do? Those time-consuming original posters. Like they could have just put type and said, "Come visit," and called it a day.
Right.
And they didn't.
Right.
They said, "No, we need to honor the extent of impact and beauty that you will see when you get here." Well done.
Yeah. Yeah, and also like to speak to that, like they were employing people to do that. Like that was the goal. It wasn't to create a beautiful poster. It was we need to give this artist enough billable hours to fulfill this need of you know, Americans at the time. Yeah. And I'm not employing like anyone, but you know,
yeah.
But I guess the idea resonates. So anyways, time to build and which is related to availability. These are like the two big things. Like I built a couple Badlands, which is sort of like a Univibe-esque pedal, but totally analog, totally, you know, vintage spec, as far as you can get to the LDRs and the lamp. It's like running, you know, a 15-volt lamp. An incandescent light bulb exists inside of this pedal, which is kind of funny. Yeah. And it takes a couple hours to make, which is like, you know, that's why it's so expensive, which means I can't make that many of them. And it also means that not very many people can buy them.
Right.
Because it costs so much. And so this very simple, but also complex problem that I ran into after designing the Americana series. And I guess I could have predicted it. I'm just kind of an idiot, but I was like, hey, is there a possible solution? And so I was thinking, you know, in all of my research for this project, I learned a lot about like the junior park ranger program in the United States. Like it used to be much bigger than it is now. You could go to you could go to Joshua Tree and go to the visitor center and like earn your badge for being a junior park ranger.
Well, hello. What's your name? My name's Bobby. Well, Bobby, you're going to be a park ranger today.
Exactly. Yeah. Did you find the yucca? Yes, I found the yucca. Did you find the horned lizard? Yes, I found it. Great. Here's your badge.
Yes.
You've won. And so I thought it would be fun. And I'll get to this in a minute, but a big part of this was like reducing the cost. And, you know, if you buy budget pedals, a lot of the time, the like experience of them is kind of,
there isn't much of one, is there?
There isn't much of one, right? And so you get a box. It feels kind of crappy. The pedal is cool. It looks good enough. Maybe the knobs feel a little bit cheap. And then the experience isn't really memorable. And one of the biggest things I think differentiators in the Americana series is like the pedal comes in like a vintage style tin lunchbox. You get all this cool swag, and it's like an experience when you get it. And you know, that's obviously tied to the high price. And I was like, well, I don't want to just put out this like cheap pedal series that's just like cutting all costs at all corners. So I was like, oh, I remember, what about those badges? And so I was able to laser print a bunch of these in-house. And I mean, maybe people will think it's kind of dumb, but like to me, that type of case candy or swag or whatever you call it. Yeah, it's like maybe you won't wear it, but like you might smile when you open the box.
Or
And
you might even just put it with other things that you collect that you really like, that mean things to you
yeah,
because of those experiences. Yeah.
yeah, totally. And that's like what I wanted to put, like a personal, because I really liked designing them and I really liked making them, and I sand every single one, and I put the pin on the back. Katie and I do it in our kitchen, like, and I want people to know that there's still, like, this pedal is $119, like, but I'm never going to put out something that doesn't have like a personalized, like, hands-on touch to it. Cause that's not really the point. I don't really care about, doing that.
Yeah. Well, I think that's very admirable, and I know that it's one of the things that a lot of the builders, specifically pedal builders, struggle with is, I want to do this, but I also want to be successful at it. And there's a couple ways that can happen, or a couple ways that by success, that might mean I can make money and quit my day job, or I can become,
Right.
internet famous, or whatever it is. And a thing that people can get tripped up in, and this isn't just the pedal stuff. This is that anything that is being made that is not mass produced, you can still take on the mentality of like, well, I want to make a pedal that everybody like has to have on their board. Well,
Right.
then it's probably might not be as extraordinary as you might want it to be, because everything doesn't have to be, and maybe even shouldn't be for everybody, unless it's a big muff. But anyways, so
Yeah,
I think what you're
sense.
doing is admirable. When you're locking into something like this, you're getting the craft. And I'm going to tout the show here for a second, because that was honestly a huge reason to do this, because there are people making great pieces of work, however you want to categorize that work, that don't get the visibility. But it's so important, because we as guitar enthusiasts love to collect things and connect ourselves to them. And this is yet another fantastic way to say, I have actually made a connection with this pedal, with this builder, with this brand, and that makes me feel good. And at the end of the day, that's what, like, I think it's just super duper important.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, there's so much cool stuff out there. People get paralyzed, and I actually, if I can, I sent out a newsletter. I don't remember when, a couple weeks ago or 10 days ago or something, and it was kind of announcing this Junior Ranger series. And one of the big points of it was like, I'm not a marketing expert. I'm not a salesperson. And it's frustrating as like a craftsperson, like you were just kind of talking about, like, that in order to do the thing that we want to do, we have to kind of
do the other
learn
stuff.
This other thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it kind of sucks. I actually kind of find it kind of fun. But a lot of people don't know that $250 overdrive they bought, like, is using parts in it that, like, my $120 pedal is going to use. Right. And it's not because they're bad, they're good, and they're good. And the other company knows that they're good, and they're going to satisfy the life cycle of the product and whatever. But you associate a cheaper price with less quality and a higher price with more quality, even though the reason why that company is charging $200 or $250 for that overdrive is because they have a marketing team of like 6 people, and they have a business manager who's making 6 figures, who's, running spreadsheets all day. And,
right.
And like that, to the end consumer, makes the product's more accessible and more sort of universal, but it doesn't make them better. And it sure as heck doesn't make them sound better.
Right.
And it doesn't make them last longer necessarily. So I hope that people, you know, can see that, like in my case where I have very little overhead, and I don't have like a huge operating cost to the business. And I found a way to like streamline manufacturing and maintain my like building integrity, and also make $120 guitar pedals.
Yeah. Well, you know, and that's actually something that we talk again often about, which is I'll get into conversations with other builders and they'll say like, hey, you know, do you got any tips on how I can move the needle and blah, blah, blah. And I mean, from just my own perspective, if you make something that you don't necessarily have to make 500 of them or 1,000 of them. You can make 10 and just make them a certain way, and then make the next 10 a certain, like, there's a collectability aspect of that. So like a cost also isn't just on quality. Is this exclusive? Do you have something that not everybody else can have? That's what, you know, that's kind of, to me, those things that really excites me when I'm able to do that.
Yeah. And that's kind of like what the original Americana series was all about, is like I would love to make 1 million of these, but I literally cannot.
Yeah.
And if you're spending $400 on this thing, you probably find value in that idea. Right. That like me sitting in my, you know, office, like at 11 PM on a Tuesday, that is exciting. Like that is like something that you resonate with and you want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And totally. It's really just kind of about that in some ways. And then for the Junior Ranger series, I'm just trying to adapt the circuits, which I really like, into a format that is, like I said earlier, it's really just about like, can I make more of them faster for less money?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we accomplished.
And still be proud of your brand and know that it's not
I'm not
detracting from your brand.
No. And I mean, there's so many like $99 pedals. Like I purposely did not like hit that price point because I want to be like close to that, but like also maybe I kind of want people to make a conscious decision to, Yeah, exactly.
That's where a lot of people struggle, that threshold of like, it's enough for me to care and now want it versus I can totally buy it, but do I really think it's that special? Right.
And that's kind of the little badge thing also. Like you'll get a pedal from Amazon and it may have cost $60, but like it smells like, when you open it, it smells like, you know, like a plastic factory in China or something. Like it smells like, oh, cool. Like a human has not touched this in months.
Yes.
Kind of thing.
Yes.
And that's like, some people don't care, and it's just about the dollars and cents, and that's cool too.
Yeah.
But I didn't want people to open it and be like, oh, Brian and Katie like didn't actually have anything to do with it. I want them to know that we did,
right?
Kind of thing. So,
So yeah, we want to talk about the ACADIA, which is right in front of us, and this is the first. Are you going to do each of the Americana series in this, or just select? Yeah.
So all of them are done except Yosemite, and I don't know if we're gonna do it because Yosemite is a spring reverb, and the circuit is really cool. But the hardest part about making it is mounting the tank, because it's inside of the pedal. So there's this like spring and bolt mechanism that we designed to like mount it. And it's annoying as heck to put together. It just takes a long time. And I haven't figured out how to, like, I could just, pay someone to program something that sounds the same, like digital, but I don't really want to do that. So I think if I can figure out a way to make it under like $180, because I don't want it to be like, hey, we're making ACADIA for $119 and Saguaros for $119 and Volcanoes for $119 and Badlands for $129, and then Yosemite is $300.
Right.
It's cheaper than the other one, but it doesn't really like vibe with the
right.
So if I can figure out a way to manufacture it fast and reliably, I'll do it. But right now, it's just the first 5.
Gotcha. When you do figure that out, it will be worth it.
I hope so.
Like that's where people will be like, no, I get it. This isn't like the other ones, and I'm paying to be able to kick it, essentially. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Okay, so tell us the ACADIA. Just a brief overview of that. It's basically the same circuit that you have on the Americana series.
Yeah, so ACADIA was kind of like the first experiment in can we translate the circuit to be not how it is, but also sound pretty good. And that was like the first thing. So the original ACADIA has like all new old stock parts. It's all germanium. And so like whether or not you think those types of things sound better, like the reality is like you have to spend more time with those parts to get them to sound okay.
Right.
That's like just the fact. You have to measure stuff. You have to audition them. You'll get 500 transistors and 400 of them are garbage. So that's like, oh, well, how does that factor into the cost of manufacturing?
Right.
And so we translated the circuit, adapted it to be based on silicon. So it's like more of a silicon based fuzz.
Uh-huh.
So these parts are readily available and they're consistent as hell. They're actually way more consistent than the germanium counterpart. So like, which is kind of funny because I'm like kind of throwing myself under the bus. Like if you buy 10 Junior Ranger series ACADIA, they're going to sound more similar to each other than the originals.
Yeah.
And not because like,
that's just part of the thing.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing nefarious about it. It's just like, if I made 50 of these pedals in a week and then there was a 6-month lull and then I made 50 more, like my brain doesn't remember exactly how everything was. Like it's all based on feel with that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it's all silicon based. It's 5 controls, just like the original. They're slightly different. And it's just a killer sounding fuzz. I think I don't know if you guys had the chance to play with it much, but one thing that I really like about it is that if you dial the fuzz control, which is the third knob, by the way, all the way back, like to dead, and you just play with the first 2 gain controls, you get this like kind of overdrive boost sort of realm. So you can like totally chill out the fuzz, but rely on the first gain stage only and get like a really interesting, fun it's not just like a fuzz face.
You got some versatility in this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really what I liked about
fuzz faces.
Having, I mean, you can really dial in a lot of different things. I'm not a huge a fan of the fuzz, but I do appreciate a good overdrive and a little bit of fuzz. But I think the thing that sets this one apart is what you're calling your depth knob. And that is, I'm guessing that it's how much bottom end you're filtering back in or cutting back out.
Yep.
And I found that trying with different guitars like single coil, it's nicer to have a little more of the bottom end, but humbuckers,
different amps too.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, it really does.
I ran it through my Vox and my Marshall, and I was like, wow, this is radically different. Well, obviously,
yeah,
but that's where that the depth and the bias, especially both of those, like that. I mean, it made it like completely different pedals every time you twisted it. It was great.
Oh yeah, and if you ran with the bias control all the way basically off, or I guess that's full voltage.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a totally different pedal than if you put it 50%, or when you get up into the upper spectrum and it starts spitting at you. That
yeah,
that's a little less useful, shall we say?
Yeah, and the funny thing about the design process, and like as someone who I've spent most of my time with, germanium, new old stock parts and vintage style things, like I really enjoy the process of like, making crappy old broken things sound good. But like I've made probably, a couple dozen of these now, getting sent out to demo people and getting ready for the release. Like they sound all the same and it's so consistent. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like kind of a revelation for me, where like the bias knob behaves how I intended it to, because I designed it that way.
The snozberries taste like snozberries
across all the. Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because like like people who operate in my world are like a little bit allergic to the consistency of modern stuff. And it's great. It's like the pedal that you guys have and played sounds exactly like unit number 26 that, I put the backplate on last night.
Right.
Like it's the same. And that feels pretty cool. Like I hope people are excited about that. And,
nice.
It's going to be good.
How about tell us about the artwork on it? 'Cause I'm an absolute sucker for artwork.
Yeah. So I used the artist Jordan from Pine Box Customs for the original stuff. And for no other reason other than like speed or iterative process did I go this route. Like
it's okay. It's not going to rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah. So I used AI to design the baseline of the art. So this is probably like, I don't know, maybe an hour each design of prompting.
Yeah, it takes a lot to get that right. Like it's not, you don't just push a button and all of a sudden you're done. You really got to work with AI to make it useful.
Yeah, and kind of like my sort of rationale for it is like, and I use AI a lot in my day job, is that I'm never going to be a good illustrator. Like I know that I don't have that talent. I can practice it for the next, 30 years and maybe become competent, but I'm never going to become as good as
Jordan.
AI is at illustrating a concept of an idea. And so what I focused on was like not outsourcing the hard part, quote unquote, to the AI. It was more about, I can be in control of the outcome, but also not be responsible for the sort of not creative, but like technical, stuff of the art process.
Right.
So I got pretty good at, or I have gotten pretty good at, like talking to AI about art, and luckily, like the vision that I had for it was like a simple task for it. Like it wasn't like a complicated thing that I was looking for. I wanted black and white. I wanted mostly line art. I fed it some of the original imagery. I prompted it based on, the characteristics of the posters that we were talking about earlier. Like none of it is revolutionary at all, but it was like careful. I was careful with it.
Yeah. Well, it actually is revolutionary. It is. It's the more that you work with it, and it sounds like you and I have a few things in common there. It is absolutely revolutionary. We just recently used something in a campaign that I was like, I mean, if we tried to shoot this, it was like we couldn't do the thing that we really wanted to do. And when it came down to it, it's like, what do I really? Is it more important to have it done a certain way? And this is analogous to pedals in some aspect, and guitars. Do people care if I sat by the fireplace and spent 2 months carving the body, or do they want to play because it looks cool and it sounds great?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It is helpful in ways that I don't think that we truly realized until those of us who have got our feet wet in it are just like, oh my gosh, this opens up all new possibilities. Yeah. It's not replacing anybody really, because
yet.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, it's like what we use, just really briefly, what we use it for is like, I'm not replacing a photographer because a photographer or something like it, because the client didn't have the budget for that anyways.
Right.
So it's a non-issue.
Right, exactly.
And if it's enabling people to bring their ideas to life, as you said, it's like, if you're going to build pedals, guess what? You're also going to be a marketer. You're going to be a businessman. You're going to be a technician. You're going to be a parts sourcer. You're going to be a blah, 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 all that stuff, right? And if that is helping you to do the thing that you truly want to do, which is make a really great pedal and get it in somebody's hands and have your vision realized, then that's the right tool.
Yeah, totally.
Well said.
100%. Yeah.
Now, you know how
well
I
said.
could tell that there was this was generated by AI?
Because there's three eyes on the
No, the
stork.
crane has 12 toes in the crane in the foreground has 12 toes.
12 toes? That's not true.
He's
Is that
kidding.
true?
He's kidding. He's kidding.
I'm about to dig into 1,000 enclosures.
Stupid AI!
No, actually,
count them.
no, I'll tell you something. This is funny. So this is a family-friendly show, right? Like I can't curse or talk. Well, feel free to edit this out. Clap. So on Badlands, which is, the Univibe-esque pedal, I have a bison as the sort of creature featured. And it has a very prominent part to it.
Proboscis.
Yes.
Is it silicon or germanium?
I'm going to leave that.
Well,
yeah. So it has a it has a thing.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, dang, I missed that. Okay. That was an oversight. And then I went and I started like searching online. I was like, oh, if I just Googled bison silhouette, line art, black and white, all these things, right?
Right.
What comes up? And they all of the hits feature this undesirable anatomical feature of this animal.
Yes.
And I don't know why, but it makes a lot of sense.
Let's not discount how bisons feel about things.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, I don't even know. It's probably horrible. But there is this very prominent thingy on the Badlands that everyone will be able to see. So,
Oh, well, we'll be looking forward to that. I think.
yeah.
All right.
I mean, it's not vulgar. It's just it's
nature.
It's nature.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, golly sakes, we got a whole. When are you gonna release all these out into the wild? Speaking of the wild.
Yeah. So ACADIA comes out on October 16th. That's when the official release date is. I don't know if that coincides with when you guys are going to publish this, but
this will be out next week, early next week.
So early October.
Great. So, yeah. So people who are listening can sign up for the newsletter and be informed that this ACADIA version will be out on October 16th. We'll have 5 demos from Demos in the Dark, Collector Emitter, Megan Lippy, William Bennett III, and Steve Stout from Lifehouse fame. All y'all boomers probably know who that band is. But yeah, we have 5 demos coming out. They haven't made them yet, but I'm excited to see how they turn out, and we're hoping to make a lot of these for a lot of folks. So
Good.
Nice.
Well, I think we're rounding third. Tony, what do you got for us?
What do you mean? What do I got for us? I thought you had it.
No.
Oh, I guess. Let me think about it real quick. Oh, yeah. At this point of the show, Todd, is a little game that we play called Would You Rather?
Uh-huh.
You see. This week's Would You Rather, it's just a little fun thing that I came up with, you see.
Okay.
You may be aware of 2 bands, the White Stripes and the Black Keys.
yes.
And there's some animosity from time to time over the naming rights and who came first and all this fun stuff.
There is?
Right? Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, there was.
Is this made up?
No, that part is real.
Okay.
The next part's
made
maybe
up?
not so much.
Okay.
So, in the White Stripes, Jack White's always out doing something. He's got his third man stuff, and he's producing so-and-so and such and such. And Meg is getting a little bit tired of
Right.
it.
So, yes, you've got a very warped timeline.
Yes.
Okay.
You see. Just
I
please.
got you. I'm trying.
And the Black Keys, well, Dan Auerbach's always out, doing guitar stuff.
Okay.
And Patrick Carney, the drummer, just he's tired of it. Both Meg and Patrick are tired of this.
Right.
So they said, we're just getting out of this.
Hiring a bass player.
No, we're hiring someone to replace. So Meg is going to start a band called the White Keys.
Uh-huh.
And Patrick is going to start a band called the Black Stripes.
I think they should actually do those things.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, this sounds real. Is this
Yes.
like
It's AI generated.
Yes.
Thank God for AI. We'd never have a Would You Rather.
Tony and I are actually at home watching Netflix.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
How's that interview going? I don't know. AI's got it covered. So they're looking for a guitar player or a multi-instrumentalist to kind of front the band, because they got to sit in the back with the drums. Let's
Got
face
it.
it. Or off to the side. But,
I think in these new bands they're forming, they'll be out in front, actually.
okay, well, maybe so. Well,
Yeah.
maybe they'll put you in the back. So they're looking around, and both bands, both Meg and Patrick, have stumbled upon your musical resume.
Ooh.
You see. And they have very generous offers.
Okay.
If you want to join the White Keys
Yes.
or the Black Stripes.
Yes.
Now, which one would you rather play with Meg in the White Keys or with Patrick in the Black Stripes? B, what guitar and amp would you choose for this endeavor?
Well, That's a open entry.
That's not
Isn't
would
it?
you rather.
That's not a would you rather.
That's
at
a
all.
would you rather. Would you
Yeah.
rather? Okay, so would you rather
Well-
play with Meg in the White Keys?
You didn't figure out. Well, isn't there like, well, we want to sound like exactly like this. So, like Meg's gonna go. You know what? I want an ESP Viper with EMGs, and
No, it's a very simple. Would you rather play with Meg or would you rather play with Patrick?
okay,
A or B.
And then if we want to,
And then give us your answer, and then give us what guitar and amp
okay,
that you would
All
like
right.
to play
Well,
in
all
that
right, well,
musical endeavor.
You go first, Tony.
Of course, I'll go first. It's funny when Meg first started playing in the White Stripes, I don't think she could really play drums. And after subsequent, sitting behind the kit, she actually, I think, got somewhat good at playing drums.
Sure.
Now, Patrick was
I
always.
think she'd really appreciate hearing that.
Yeah.
Tony.
Well, she does. She listens to the podcast
Yeah.
every week. Patrick, I think, was already a pretty decent drummer, but I think I would like to join Meg
Okay.
in the White Keys, and I'm going to play a vintage Fender Bass 6
Oh.
through 6 AC30s. Boom.
Wow.
Done.
Boom.
Wow.
Assertive.
Okay.
So I got that whole Brian May thing going on with the AC30s.
Yeah.
And it's loud, and it's a bass 6.
Oof. Oof. All right. Toast.
Can you hold that ring?
All right.
All right. Brian, what about you?
Oh my gosh. Okay. I think I'm going to do, this is tough. This isn't like a normal would you rather that you do with like middle school boys,
Hey, now.
which is like no, that's like my vibe. Like I'm sitting around, a couple 8th graders come up to me and they're like, hey, would you rather like, I don't know, wear Crocs or like, whatever. It's a little bit different.
With or without socks.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's like the biggest variable. I don't know. I might do. So I like Meg White a lot. I like the White Stripes. I like Jack White a lot. I've had a million Silvertone amps. I also like Patrick Carney because I want to meet him in person to see how big he is. You ever have that weird fantasy? Because he's like gigantic, right?
Is he?
He looks like he's like 6'9".
I think he plays like 3/4 scale drums. That's why he looks so big.
So he's 5'6.5".
Exactly. And he just has a 3/4 drum kit.
He's playing kid drums. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's fine. I don't know. I think I'm going to pick, I'll just go the other way. I'm going to pick Patrick
Okay.
for the, what is it? The Black Stripes?
It's the Black Stripes, yes.
Right. Okay. And my guitar, I hate to do this. I'm going to play a Telecaster because it's the greatest guitar ever made.
Why do you hate that? That sounds all the reasons not to hate something.
Because I'm not tuning my guitar choice for the sound of the experiment. Like I'm not, like I just pick the guitar that I prefer.
Gotcha.
And then amp, oh my gosh, I don't know, like I like having that AC30 thing with, what if I just had like, I don't know, 25 Silvertone 1485s crank. 25 of them. And then I had like just like a wall of Marshall cabs. I think that's what I would do.
That's
Okay.
cool.
And then of course I'd have Yeah, that's what I would do. All right.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Well,
Todd?
I'm going with Meg on this too. And I think for my guitar, I was going to go with actually Jerry, my Hagstrom, my gold Hagstrom.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's called Jerry because it's gold, Jerry. Gold. But I think I'm going to go with a Chase Gullet Cobra design with a Brandon Wound P90 in it. A single P90.
Wow. Very specific.
Can you add a sitar buzz bridge on that?
No. But what I am going to do, I'm going to see your guys' multi-amps, and I'm going to have 4 Mini Chiefs, Greer Mini Chiefs.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah. Into a Fender, what's the 10? Is it the concert? The
Super.
The Super?
Yeah.
Yeah, the big wall of 10 speakers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I know. This was actually kind of fun to think about.
It's no bass 6, but
Well, no, for good reason.
Yeah. I mean, you have 20 watts. I think I have like 1,000 watts, but
Yes.
okay.
But those 20 watts, I don't know if you guys have ever heard the Greer Mini Chief, but oh my goodness. Woo, that sounds good.
they're glorious.
Yes.
Your sound man will love you.
Yes. That's a good one, Tony.
That's right.
It sounded like crap at the beginning, but it winded up pretty good.
Well, see, you have to, it's like a fine wine. Sometimes you have to let it decant a little bit.
Yes,
You see.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I don't know how you'd know that, but let's.
I like Ripple.
We
It's
need
good.
To,
It's good wine.
We need Manischewitz.
Yeah.
We need to thank a few people, and then we're going to let our
yes.
pal Brian go here.
Yes, I almost forgot because at this part of the show is a special group of people we love to thank. These are our executive producers. Now, an executive producer helps make this show possible. How do you become one? Quite easy. Head over to patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs. Check out a couple different levels in which you can participate. Become a friend, a hero, an all-around nice person to the podcast.
Word them up on the level.
Yeah, that's right. Each level comes with some very nice thank you gifts, opportunities to win giveaways.
We're going to have more.
There's more coming. There's
the
more
corner.
coming. But in addition to all that great stuff, there's one thing more. What would that be?
Get to have your name written on the thing.
Well, that was a little easier, but to translate, that was you get to have your name read on the thing. And that's what I'm going to do right now. So special thanks to these executive producers, John Sebastian, Trevor Ellenberg, Cameron Pampas, James Bell, Brett Hogarth, Gregory Randall, Don Kloss, Ralph Gottschalk from Wonderful Audio Technology. What? Rusty Sneeden, Vader and Pedals, John Halverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Richard Kendall, James White, Justin Jones, John Esterly from Rear Effects, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Senchuk, Ken Sayers, Darren Gregory, Tom Brazen, Eric Merrow, and Plutone.
Yes.
But wait, Todd, there's more. Because there's a special group of executive producers. We call them our Grand Poobahs. These are the creme de la creme, the top of the heap, the A number ones, and they wear a fez upon their head whilst listening to the podcast.
Indeed.
So special thanks to these Grand Poobahs. Anthony Gemalero, Billy Spitfire Unlimited, Bob Crouch, Brian Robison, Cody Foster, David Kaminga, David Tyndall, Enrico Fernando, Fox Hill Studio, Hex Matos, James Pennington, John Williams, LSJ Music Company, Matt Hart, Michael Van Zant, Michio Murakishi, Moon Guitars, Paul Von Eppinger, Sam Jett, Steve Keys, Tyler Casey Rhines, Zach Oswald from Brandon Wound Pickups, and Pedro Vasquez. Thank you.
Indeed. We truly do thank you. We could not do this without your help, and more help is always appreciated and needed. All right, Brian, we need to say a ginormous thank you for you sharing your time. And I know how much you want to go hang out with little Ivy over there. I was really great that you introduced her. What a little sweetheart, I'm sure. And we need to, why don't you tell people where they can go get the stuff, man?
Yeah, so thank you guys. You can get the stuff on the website. You can also join the newsletter, which is, like I said before, the best place to find new news about what we're doing. And then Instagram is our most, active social channel. So
got it. Now, when this releases, it'll be just before you announce or have them available. So people, if you hear this and you're like, I can't wait a second longer, just shoot them an email, and I'm sure at least
sign up for the newsletter.
You'll get some information.
Come on, do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, the newsletter is it. That's really it.
Sounds good. Tony.
Head over to pickguardian.com. Check out a couple of things that I do. What do? I make custom pickguards for guitars. How do you get one? You just get a hold of me. Tell me what you need, what you're trying to do, and I will take very good care of you. It's your chance to make your guitar even more yours.
Love it. All right. You can shoot me and DM on Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Would love to hear from you. Tell us who you are. Tell us whatever you want. We love connecting with you guys out there.
How about some 4 on the floors and some would you rathers?
Yeah, there haven't been as many flowing in as I would like, and I don't know. Do we have to incentivize this or something? I'm not really sure.
I'll go shirtless for an episode.
Please don't. Please don't. Anyways, yes, we'd love to connect with you. That's the bottom end. We love doing that every week. We're so glad that you're listening. Tell a friend about us. We would really appreciate that.
Yeah.
If nothing else.
Tell 2 friends.
And make sure you tell your friends about Spruce Effects, making really, really great pedals by hand up in the Northwest. So, without further ado, have a fantastic week and subscribe.
Yeah.
Tony, did you have that thing on?
I just pushed it on for you.
I accidentally just pushed it off and then pushed it back on.
I was trying to feel out how spicy I wanted to be in my response. And of course, at first I said, no, I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah, but you did leave it hanging for a long time, and I respected that.
No.
Yes, it was.
No. Do we have a would you rather?
Man, you know the answer
That's
to that
a silly question, isn't it?
If I knew, I would tell you. Look for your information. There's one thing that still holds true. And now you're just doing this to me to mess with me. That's nonsense.
I stopped maturing in middle school, so
yeah. It's funny because you spend a lot of years going, I'm trying to build up my maturity and my believability and my own personal adult cachet. And then the minute you get it, you're like, this is stupid. Put it on the shelf. And you'd go, I don't know what to do. Swoop, shoop, 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 shoop.
Can you take that hat off? It's disturbing me.
Why?
You could be my dad. I turned 40 this year.
I am
you
your
turned
father.
30 this year?
Oh, you suck.
40.
Okay.
40.
Okay.
I could still be your father, Luke.
What? How old are you guys? What is going on here?
That's not going to happen this time.
No, because we both pushed the record button twice.
Yes.
Nice. So wait, doesn't that just turn it off then? Or no, you're great. You're professional. You're an adult. You do all this great stuff. And I'm like, you have no idea what's going through my head right now. I can't believe that I suckered you all.
Right.
What is going on?
Yeah. Let's not be exhausting with the rest of the program. How about that?
Sure.
I'm
Sounds
exhausted
great.
already.
Cool. We just learned a whole bunch of stuff, didn't we?
We did.
That was a big share fest right there. I appreciate that.
Should have saved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to take a nap.
And away we go.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/ facebook.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.